Yo, what's the deal? What is the deal, man? I'm honored today here with a very special guest. Shout out to the No Pick Show. This is the In Your League edition where we talk about other teams. Today we're focusing on the Memphis Grizzlies. I got the man, he's a shot caller in the Grizzlies space here, in the fan base. Has one of the best spaces on Twitter. You're cheating yourself if you're not following this gentleman. Grindhouse, can you please introduce yourself to the people, family?
How is everyone doing? I'm Grindhouse Grizzlies, at Spaces Grizzlies on X or Twitter, whatever you want to call it now. Um, Real name is EJ. Yeah, just started Spaces up about 5 years ago, kind of when it all kind of got started on Twitter, anyways. Centered around the Memphis Grizzlies. Shout out to my guy Bryson Wright. He was actually kind of the first one to introduce me to it as well. Or I popped up in his room first, just talking Grizzlies. It used to only be about five of us in there for a good 2 months or so that season. But he used to get a little busy. He was going to school at the time. Really big producer with the Tennessee athletic department. Shout out to him, man. That's my guy right there. And so I was like, I got time on my hands, so I can do these every night. I just started it. I made my own page, Grizzlies page, and started doing spaces, and it grew and grew, man. So now we're here.
Man, you, Coach Vaughn, y'all. To me, I think the community is so dope. As a graduate of the Spaces community myself, I love what y'all got going on, man. Very welcoming community with the Memphis Grizzlies. Of course, we got a ton of similarities between the Pelicans and our trajectory, and the Grizzlies and your trajectory over the years. Of course, Zion Williamson going number one, Ja Morant going number two, and both having some of the same difficulties on and off the court. So you've been talking about this for a while now, and I feel like you spoke this into existence. Y'all getting big money out there in Memphis. Y'all doing y'all thing. And, I really wish y'all could share some of the wealth. You know what I'm saying? You just hit the lottery, third pick. They probably should have gave you number one because it's about time for y'all to get a number one pick. It's been long enough. But number three pick and two guys you've been speaking about all season. We follow each other on X. Cam Boozer and Caleb Wilson. I'm correct, right? Two guys that you've been speaking about, and I feel like you spoke this into existence, brother. What were your initial thoughts when you saw Memphis Grizzlies with the third pick? Like, what were your initial thoughts?
I was on the space at the time, of course, just
Right.
hosting it for the fans and everything like that. My initial thought was, "Damn it, I did it again." Um, uh, in 2023, I made out a tweet. We had the seventh best odds that season, and I was like, my gut feeling is that we're gonna have the fourth pick, but I really want number nine. And even our own fans, oh my, what? That
You
just sounds
wanted to drop?
stupid.
You wanted to
I,
drop in the draft.
yeah. So
Wow.
yeah,
Okay.
and then all the fans were like, you're stupid, you're crazy. Why would you want that and lower odds? For that specific draft, I was a huge Zach Edey guy. The whole draft process, like
Yeah.
that whole season, I was a huge Zach Edey guy. And early on, he's second round. People not really thinking about Zach Edey as an NBA prospect. And I'm going to battle with folks in college basketball, in the Grizzlies community, in the NBA world. Like Zach Edey is way more than y'all think he is. And
Man.
as we kept getting closer, I knew he was rising. So, and I knew Donovan Clingan was kind of the guy that everybody wanted, and
Yeah.
maybe the Grizzlies would have wanted him too. But I knew he'd be gone by number nine, so I was like, yeah, I want number nine. It's perfect range for us to get Zach Edey. And yeah, it perfectly worked out that way. And so with this one, I had just predicted like 2 nights before, DeMichael Cole, shout out to DeMichael Cole, one of our beat writers for the Daily Memphian. He had tweeted something out, and I'm gonna do it again, man. I said, I won't pick three. I said, I want pick three because I felt like Cam Boozer was the guy that we can land there with AJ and Darren Peterson. probably
Mm.
going 1-2. So
Because I noticed you
it
locked in
happened.
on. I noticed you locked in on Cam and Caleb. I noticed that like you wasn't really tripping too much about AJ and Darren. I know most of the season you locked in on those two guys. What about those two guys is so appealing to you?
The power forward position, man. Everybody knows we traded Jaren Jackson Jr. Me personally, not the biggest Jaren Jackson Jr. fan at the end of it all, anyways.
Right, right.
So yeah, those two guys were it. Those were the two best that I knew that at that position all season long. So yeah, that's where I wanted to be at, to be in perfect range for those two guys specifically.
You know what's funny, bro? When people speak about like some guys that you drafted, like homegrown talents, be it Jaron Jackson Jr., Zach Edey, Ja Morant, etc., Gigi Jackson, other guys, right? It's during that rookie scale deal, everything's cool. You're counting on upside. You're like they're gonna figure it out. Once you start paying motherfuckers, like once they get that big max extension, now your patience runs out. You're like, all right, look, enough. When is the rebound gonna come along, brother? Like when is you gonna stay healthy? When is this gonna happen? When is that gonna happen? So I totally understand that feeling. So I gotta come out and ask you, brother. I know you've been going to bat for Cam Boozer quite a bit, trying to show the brother some love, some support, because it seems like Caleb Wilson is just taking off like a rocket, bro. It seems like people just love the idea of this kid. What is your preference at three? Are you good with whatever decision, or do you have a preference at three?
First and foremost, let me take this time out real quick. Um, Long live Brandon Clark, man. Just
Yes,
a
yes, yes,
very,
man.
very unfortunate situation, man, and
Terrible, man.
it hurts us as a community, not only just the Grizzlies community, but a basketball community, to see a young man, go out so early at 29 years old, man. So definitely want to take some time to just send out prayers to his family, and just asking for everyone to send prayers to his family and former teammates, current teammates, people in the front office, coaches, everyone, man. So definitely wanted to do that. But to your question,
I'm
my
sorry. I'm
pre
sorry,
go ahead.
I'm sorry, brother. Also, Brandon Clark, he has a foundation that he's just started. You can go support his foundation. It's called the Brandon Clark Foundation. It was started in
No, no, no.
2025. I'm sorry.
The
Go ahead. Oh,
arise
Arise
to
to
read.
Read. Yes. Okay. Thank you. Arise to Read. All one word. ARISE. The number two. READ. And he supports the local Boys and Girls Club. Focuses on supporting Memphis area families, particularly mothers facing tragedies, and supporting children's literacy. So please be sure to go out and support that brother in those efforts and support his family. It's a terrible loss for the Memphis community and the NBA community as a whole, because I feel like that's a name that came up a lot recently just in conversation. And this being such a shocking loss is like it just came out of left field, man. But I'm sorry, please continue.
Yeah, man. But yeah, as far as the preference goes between Cam Boozer and Caleb Wilson, I am more team Boozer. Um, the winning. I understand winning in high school and college and all that may not mean a lot to a lot of people, but at the degree and the pedigree that this kid has done it at since he was 14 years old, I can't take it, man. I have to include it. This kid has done it against every single body as well. If anybody knows the state of Florida, it has a lot of those academies and stuff like that. IMG, Mount Vernon Academy, and all that. But Cam Boozer went to Columbus, him and his brother. And they beat all those guys. The Cooper Flags just came through there. Your guy Derek Queen was on his team at Mount Vernon. Liam McNeely, who's with the Hornets. Cam Boozer and Caden Boozer, they walked them all, man. So that's my number one guy, as far, or that's why he's my number one guy. It's just a winning pedigree. But there's also a lot of other intangibles. His mindset, the way that he processes the game so quickly. I know a lot of people question his athleticism, but he has really good length. His vision, just so many ancillary and tangible pieces inside Cam Boozer. It's very hard to ignore them.
Can
And then Go ahead.
I'm sorry, I want to ask you, do you think, because I've seen some of this with Mara in Michigan, do you think sometimes guys who come from winning programs or just winners generally aren't rewarded during the draft process? Do you think sometimes it's viewed as like, well, they want a great team with a great coach, so of course they look better than maybe they actually are? Do you think that's sometimes what you see happening?
Yes, absolutely. Like even more with Cam Boozer now, going to Duke. Everybody already knows,
Yeah.
Duke is the one of those top programs. So winning at Duke to a lot of people is just like, well, that just comes with the territory. So, so yes, I do think in some people's minds it does kind of affect draft things, but within organizations though, I don't think it matters too much. They
Mhm.
absolutely take it into account when they're going through their draft boards and everything like that.
Now, I know you said you'd be fine with either pick, but it does seem like you may be going against the grain a little bit with the national media. Of course, you're no stranger to that. You just said you wanted to drop down to 9 to pick up Zach Edey. So, what are you? I'm sure you don't have anything you dislike, but what is your thoughts on Caleb Wilson? Like just generally.
Absolutely love Caleb Wilson first and foremost. Didn't know as much about Caleb Wilson coming into the college basketball season, but I watched that first game against Kansas, Caleb Wilson versus Darren Peterson. And when I say
Mm.
Caleb Wilson went out there and dogged this man out, not just him one on one, but the defensive impact he was making, the offensive impact he was making, and you could just literally see it all throughout that game. I want to be the best player on the court at the end of this. I want everybody to know Caleb Wilson. And I felt that. And then at the end of it, I seen a clip. Yeah, he's in the locker room. Somebody asked him, "What was your hunger tonight? What you could feel your hunger in this game tonight? What was it?" And he was like, "I was at the McDonald's All American game last year. Um, Darren Peterson was on my team. I felt like I didn't get the ball enough, so I done made me a checklist for this whole season
Mm.
about what I want and who I want to do it against." And he did that. Darren Peterson, AJ DeBonsta, even Cam Boozer, his team and pretty much him came out on top of all those guys when they faced them. So it's not necessarily like this is one of those situations where I try my best to not down one to up the
Right.
other.
Right.
So
Yep. Shout out to everybody in the building. Make sure you hit the like button. Also, shout out to everybody that's watching us on X. So I gotta ask you this before we transition to Memphis sharing some of the what with New Orleans, because I feel like we got some ways we can help one another. I want to ask you this one. What would piss you off in this draft? If they say, "Oh, they drafted him," what were you thinking? Like, what would piss you off in this pick three scenario? Cam on the board, Caleb on the board. What would just be like, oh my God, it's over. Why did they do this?
anybody else behind the top four or
Right,
whatever.
right.
Because I am one of those people. People have been asking, trying to make up these crazy scenarios as to why Peterson or AJ won't go 1 and 2, and more than likely it would be Peterson to fall if Boozer
Yeah,
was drafted ahead or whatever.
I
And I
believe
would
it.
love Peterson as well. Like if it's if it's Boozer going ahead, I would love Peterson over Wilson, but
Yeah.
for any crazy reason as to why Wilson would go ahead, I'm not gonna lie. I think I would still take Boozer over Peterson. But yeah, anybody else, I would be pretty pissed off. I do like a
Okay.
lot of these I do like a lot of these point guards, and
Yeah.
with the Ja Morant situation coming along, I wouldn't mind any of these guys.
Mhm.
Darius Acuff, I know a lot of people, especially in Memphis with Arkansas being so close.
Yeah, it's
There's a
right
lot of
there. Yeah.
Arkansas fans in the fan base. But yes, it would pretty much piss me off if we drafted any of those guys like that.
Mhm. Okay. Okay. Now you brought up Ja. You know what I'm saying? And I saw Ja posted this earlier today on his Instagram. He posted this. Of course, I'm lying about this. Totally lying. But it seemed like something. It just looked natural. You know what I'm saying? It looked like like I could believe that he would post something like that. So, what's your read on the Ja Morant situation in the event that they do land a point guard? But I mean, truthfully, there's so much talent in that backcourt right now. Ty Jerome's finally back. Scottie Pippen Jr., who we didn't get to see a lot of, but of course, incredibly talented young man. And like you say, things fall the right way. You could be potentially bringing in a point guard, and you have another pick at pick 16, I believe, that's from Portland, if I'm not mistaken. And things can happen. You know what I'm saying? So, what's your read on the Ja Morant situation?
Um, man, it's bad.
Mhm.
I don't want anybody to mistake what they've heard in reports or anything though. Ja Morant absolutely loves the city of Memphis from everything. Of course I don't know him personally, but everything, reading from behind the scenes, some things I have heard behind the scenes and stuff. He absolutely loves Memphis. So don't ever let any reports say otherwise. But as far as it's just contract. He's got 2 years left on his contract. He needs to get into a situation where he can still work his way into somewhat of a all NBA season, so he could
Mhm.
possibly get his max, at least a max contract.
Right.
Because if the Grizzlies trade him, I'm pretty sure that throws out a super max, kind of like Luca leaving
Yeah.
Dallas as well. So it's mainly contracts as to why it's getting so ugly right now. John Morant wanted a contract, and unfortunately, he doesn't have an agent. He chose not to have an agent anymore,
Right.
and he's got his uncle and his family kind of doing this, and yeah. So here we are today. In this situation. So it's very unfortunate. I'm very sad about it. But business is business, and I always just want to see the Grizzlies win. So
Mhm.
it is what it is on that front.
Yeah, because of course, when you talk about these things, it's never the city. It's typically not necessarily the organization. It's really just the people running things to where the differences come into play. And Jai is a guy that's looking for that money. You know what I'm saying? And around this time, you do see people change agents, but not having an agent going the Kawhi route. But then it could be a little risky. It could be a little risky. But you saw guys like Kyrie Irving replenish their value. You saw guys like Kawhi ultimately replenish his value. So there is pathways for him to get that contract, especially if he finds a comfortable situation. Because I would imagine at his next stop, he'll be on his quote unquote best behavior. And again, Ja, a lot of roots in New Orleans. I believe his trainers from New Orleans. Does a lot for the city down here. And so I just wanted to throw a little proposal. I ain't trying to rob nobody. I'm gonna always come at you fair because I respect your mind. So this is just something I cooked up real quick. You know what I'm saying? So I said, you got look, former All Star Dejounte Murray. He was an All Star, man. He was an All Star. Former All Star Dejounte Murray. Herb Jones, look, all defense. Herb Jones. I've been telling you about Herb Jones for a minute, Grindhouse. Herb Jones, 2 second-round picks. You can twist my arm for a protected first. For Ja Morant, you know what I'm saying? He Ja barely played. Y'all don't need Ja no more. He barely played now. And that number 16 pick probably gonna be a bust. Y'all don't need that pick. What do you think? What do you think? Because look, y'all got so many young players. It's hard to develop all that talent at one time, man. People end up being neglected. What do you think of a proposed deal like that? And why would Memphis say no in this scenario?
If I'm not mistaken, that was actually one of the real reports out there. I think shout out to Scoop B.
Oh yeah. School mentioned
That
something along those
at
lines.
the trade deadline, I do believe that was one of the real trades that was out there for the Grizzlies to take. But at the time, DeAndre Murray hadn't came back yet. Ja was injured at the time as well. And honestly, this is just my opinion. I don't. It's not that I don't like DeAndre Murray. It's the
Mhm.
injuries, and I know
Yeah,
John Moran is injured as well, and the number of years that's left on the contract.
because they both
That's
have 2 years. Yep.
Yeah, so that's the only reason why I'm so somewhat against it is just the
Mhm.
number of years and everything like that. But I was talking to your guy Alvin the other day,
Oh yeah, my
and he
dog.
kind of
Yeah.
he threw a wrench in there of making it a 3-team deal with Jalen Green attached and him coming to Memphis,
Mm,
y'all getting Ja and Murray and Jones going over to Phoenix. Now that is more sensible to me,
okay.
because I do kind of feel like a Ja and Jalen Green straight up 1 for 1 absolutely makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
There's a couple of factors here. Earlier this season, Dylan Brooks pulled up to a game in Washington
Yeah.
to watch Ja Morant and the Grizzlies, and they had a conversation and everything like that. And then
Mm.
Ja pulled up to a game in Phoenix for the playoff
Right,
game,
right,
and
right.
of course, former Grizzlies, they are absolutely super cool with each other. So I'm speculating that they've been cooking something up. Those two have absolutely been cooking something up, and Jalen Green's contract just matches straight up. So, but if y'all want to get in there and make something more uh, attainable for the Suns, then I'm all for it as long as a Jalen Green ends up in Memphis. So.
I think the Pelicans also have one. And shout out to everybody in the building, man. 111 people in the building. Make sure y'all hit the like button, subscribe, and make sure y'all go add my dog Grindhouse on Twitter as well. There's one ace the Pelicans have to play, and it depends on what the Grizzlies' projected timeline is, right? If the Grizzlies are looking, shed a little bit of salary cap, because man, Contavious better pick up that player option. You better get that money. So if you if you're looking to shed that salary potentially, and kind of get Ja out the paint and send him to New Orleans, could be something along the lines of DeJounte Murray and Jordan Poole. Jordan Poole's a $34 million expiring. So you kind of just bite the bullet one more year, you get that salary off your books. Now, with Jalen Green, he matches the timeline pretty perfectly to me. I think he's 23 years old. The money is still kind of, whatever, but 23 years old, about 2 years left on his deal as well. Coming off a tough year, dealt with some injuries. Efficiency wasn't really there, but he's a guy with some upside that you could potentially count on to maybe he takes the next step in Memphis. Maybe he figures it out there. So what do you think the projected timeline is? I'm sure landing pick 3 changes some things.
I think, well, our GM said this isn't going to be some long, drawn out process, 5 year process. That was his quote unquote words.
Yeah.
I don't want to wait 5 years. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, yeah.
And I'm not sure what he means by that, like to get back in the playoffs, to try to get to a championship level. Me personally, I'm a championship mindset.
Right.
Yeah, that long is too long, in my opinion. So for me, 2 years, like next season, I'm cool with letting these guys, the rookies that we're gonna draft or anything, and any shaking and moving that we're gonna do. If we win, we win. If we don't, we don't. I'm cool with that. But by 27, 28, I would at least like to be back in playing playoff contention, as far as the timeline goes. So.
Okay, okay. So it kind of makes me think they're going to look to expedite things. Caleb Wilson or even Boozer, they don't project to be long-term projects. If Edie's healthy, to me, man, if Edie was healthy all season last season, even with Ja being out, I think you see a much better Memphis Grizzlies team. Edie is a monster to me. He's a monster to deal with. Yeah, man. So I'm hoping we can do some good minutes together. You know what I'm saying? I don't know of much of a history of the Pelicans and Memphis doing a ton of business. I think the last trade I remember was Quincy Pondexter, and that was a long time
Yeah,
ago.
and Tony Allen.
Yeah,
That
Tony
did,
Allen's
yeah.
free agent. Things along that line. I think we traded John Salmons to them. I think we traded them to y'all. But tell the people what you got coming up, brother, and where they can find you at, and what to look forward to from the Memphis Grizzlies this season in this draft. Because I know y'all be having the fingers on the pulse of what's happening out there. So tell the people where they can find you and what to look forward to, brother.
Yeah, just like I said, just find me on at Spaces Grizzlies on X, Twitter. I still call it Twitter, but
Yeah, me
yeah,
too.
just yeah, that's mainly where I'm at. I do got a YouTube page, but I need to get back onto it. But yeah, it's the same at as well. So yeah, that's and then I'm just gonna be doing a lot of draft coverage coming up. Try to do it probably once a week or so. Not sure what days. Still doing a couple of things around this combine, and everything like that. So yeah, you could just find me there. Um, as far as the Edie thing goes, that's another reason why I want Cam Boozer the most. I
Mm,
believe, as crazy as it sounds, I believe Cam Boozer is the one to help Edie stay healthier. It's the little
Mm,
intangibles. So I do believe that Cam Boozer is the stronger screener,
right.
and he's a stronger rebounder than Caleb Wilson. Even though both are really good in those departments, I believe Boozer is better. And with the screening, I'm saying is because if you're asking Zach Edey to go screen above the 3-point line and then he has to roll to the basket, he's using a lot of stress and mobility on his ankles
A
to
lot of miles.
quick twitch and all that stuff, as to where if it's with Cam Boozer, he can be in that dunker spot, hanging around the rim, just posting up, catching lobs from a Boozer off of that short roll, things like that. And I think that helps Zach Edey tremendously. With his ankle situation and everything like that. And then on the rebounding aspect, Zach Edey a lot of times is rebattling four guys on the boards
Yeah.
because Jaren Jackson Jr., wasn't that strong of a rebounder or anything. So battling four guys, that eases it up. Maybe you're only battling one or two. If you're battling one or two with Boozer and Edie, good luck.
Yep.
Good luck to whoever we're playing, trying to get rebounds. So
And I
that's another reason why I want to Cam Boozer more than anyone else.
And I think you make a really excellent point. Shout out to everybody in the building. Make sure you hit that like button because when I look at a Zach Edey and the Klingon and even Mara and guys like Kessler and even Porzingis to a degree, a lot of guys just aren't designed. When you talk about these mammoth human beings, a lot of these guys aren't designed to play 30 plus minutes a night. You got some guys that probably top at like 27, 28. So you kind of need more ways to reduce the mileage on their bodies. When you talk about Cam versus Caleb, that's when we get into the conversation of skill versus athleticism. Because you got the guys with the supreme athleticism, you always think his ceiling is higher if he could just refine that skill. But sometimes those skills never come along. Sometimes you top out as an incredible athlete. But it's going to be very interesting to watch. So, final question before I let you go, brother. Where is Ja Morant playing basketball next season? Where's Ja Morant balling next season?
Once again, man, if I had to say today, I truly believe he will be a Phoenix Sun. He will be a Phoenix Sun. It's just too much motion, man. When he works hard in the off seasons, he's in Phoenix a lot of times. Like you said though, New Orleans, he's done camps, kid camps and all that. Him and his dad are down there.
Think
So
about
I
the
wouldn't
kids,
be
Ja. Think about the
I
kids,
wouldn't
Ja.
be surprised. And like I said, if y'all can get in there with a 3-team deal and make it sweet enough for Phoenix to want to do that, I think that's your best bet to be able to land the job Morant. But yes, I do believe he will be a Phoenix Sun next year, if anything. Me personally as well, though, I'm targeting the Kings with that pick number 7. I That's
Ooh.
another draft thing I cooked up before the lotteries came out.
Taking back
Um,
Malik Monk in salary, or you taking back Zach Levine?
so it had to be Zach Levine, of course. It's
Okay.
the one that matches. But
Cy Young.
aspiring
Yep.
current, yeah,
Yep.
and yeah, it's just something that I cooked up as well. I said I want the Kings to be at 6 or 7. They feel disappointed
Ooh.
and they spin the block back on Ja Morant and get desperate enough to come get him for that pick. So it's all
Ooh.
falling good. We're feeling good over in Grizz. As my guy Ed Memphis, y'all make sure y'all following Ed
Yeah,
Memphis as
probably
well.
Memphis.
Ain't it, man? Over in Grizzly land, yeah, we're smiling and feeling good, man.
Man, y'all getting money out there, brother. Y'all getting money. That top three pick, it just changes the energy. You know what I'm saying? It's like when that check hits your account. But shout out to you, brother. I appreciate your time, man. Keep doing your thing. Again, incredible space, incredible people in that space. Very welcoming community. Y'all, please be sure to check out my dog Grindhouse at Space Grizzlies. That's been today's show. Please be sure to like, comment, subscribe. When your boy had a chance, add me on Instagram, Twitter, whatever. And I'm out. Peace.